It's the only hoodie I brought, so
Wait.
early.
Late.
We just slept in.
We slept in.
We're gonna make a thumbnail real quick.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Post. It's gonna go over here. It'll be really cool. Click. Okay. Hey guys. Well, anyways, today we are talking about post breakups. Ooh. Today I'm here with my friend Caroline. We're also, she also has a podcast called As Always Podcast. I'll plug it right here and I'll link it in the description box. Super great. You should go take a listen. Anyways, so today we're just gonna be talking about post breakups and how there's a lot of things I feel like that nobody talks about. So first we will just kick it off by kind of just letting Caroline introduce herself and then where she's at currently in her relationship status. So, hey guys, I'm Caroline. I'm 21, just graduated from college. I'm an intern at a church, so that's just how my life is going right now. I am almost 3 months, 2.5 months post breakup, I think. Something in that arena. Couple months post breakup. Yeah. I mean, going through a breakup is never fun, but right now kind of where I'm at is I'm just not really interested in dating currently. But I think that's just what happens at some point in time after a breakup. I'm really just working on my relationship with the Lord and working on myself and taking care of myself and really just prepping for the future.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think it's super important, like you were talking about, like when you are in a break, like if you were the one who broke it off, or probably more if you're the one who is broken up with, like I think it's super important that you make sure that like you take time to like deal with that before you like move on to somebody else, because if you don't take care of it, like you might just get in a new relationship and like give all that like low-key heartache to somebody else, and like that's not fair.
Yeah. Doing a little summer series on the pod, and I talked about singleness, and I think one thing that's really important is like if you're the one who got dumped and I was the one who got dumped, you literally have to take time to process the fact that like this is very harsh, but you know, they don't want to date you anymore, and that's hard, but you have to take time to accept it, because if you don't, you're just gonna hold that resentment against them for forever.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, it's good. What has your favorite season of life been so far?
Ooh, I think my favorite season of life so far ironically has been the past 6 months. You know this because you're like one of my best friends, but the past 6 months have been the most amazing season of my life, but also the most challenging season of my life. Graduating college, going through a lot of different things like family, relationships. It's definitely been very hard. At the same time, I've never grown so much than I have in the past 6 months. Like I said earlier, I intern at a church, and that in and of itself has grown myself and my faith so much. It's been really beautiful, and just I haven't had steady friendships or like close friends my whole life. I've had like new friends every year, and the past 6 months I've like gained a whole new family and friends. So
when people like tell me that like they're basically like their current season is their favorite season, because like I don't know, I think a lot of people can be like stuck in the past, or it's like, oh, this was the best time of my life and like that's it. But I really do think that like my mom always said like, oh, like my favorite time is like right now. Like it just keeps getting better, and I feel like that's just exciting. Okay, so what was like the biggest thing coming out of this breakup? Like, were you expecting this breakup? Like, kind of tell them like, were you planning on like marrying him or no, or do you even want to share that?
No,
or
I can't share anything.
Just anything.
So I genuinely, this was a relationship where it was really back and forth, and we were growing with each other, and it was also long distance, so it was really hard. And we both talked about marriage, and I thought that like I was done, off the market, you know, that kind of situation. And the breakup did really come out of left field. Like I was not expecting it. So that was hard in the moment. I think that's what took me the longest to get over, is like, I'm so confused. Like I just got broken up with, so I'm very confused. And being long distance, that's hard because, you know, the initial breakup happened over the phone. And then talking in person too, and with it coming so abruptly, you like have those conversations and you're like, I'm just so confused, where's everything coming from? And those initial conversations weren't very productive. So then that elongates the breakup, because you don't see each other all the time because you're living in different cities,
And so like there's random texts and random calls where you're just like, actually, like I need to get this off my chest, I need to heal in this way because I can't because you're not here.
Yeah.
So that's definitely was the hardest part about it. And literally just accepting, you know, if you've ever done long distance and then gotten a breakup after long distance, you don't see that person regularly, like I said. Just like you can run into them somewhere or like have the same friend group and be able to check in on them and make sure like they're doing well because you want the best for them. You kind of have to accept it and move on, and just literally be in a huge time of unknown.
Yeah, it is so weird. I feel like I was in a long distance, which Alex and I were kind of long distance for half of our relationship. We were like 2 hours apart. But it actually, distance can be really good and like it can be possible. So like I want to like encourage anybody who is in a relationship who is long distance, and like it's totally possible. And I actually think like long distance can be so good for you because it allows you to have, one, like I had my own life in Colombia. Two, I think a lot of time when girls get like boyfriends at first, or even guys, like you can tend to only hang out with them. And that is kind of okay, but kind of not, because then you are like, then when if you end up breaking up, you guys are that was it. Like he was your whole world, like you lost all your friends already. But yeah, I think long distance can be great, but don't fool yourself in like, you will know if he wants to be with you, because I was in a long distance relationship and like he never really tried to see me, and so it's like you can tell, like I just feel like deep down, like you know if like they don't actually want to be with you. But what I was gonna say about your this is what I was gonna say. So also, if whether you were the person who got broken up with or the person who broke up, mainly if you're the person who broke up with somebody else and you're still going through it, like do not reach out. Like once you have said like your goodbyes and all these things and like that's done, like do not reach out anymore. One guy literally still texts me from like the guy who I was super long distance from, like don't do that. And like it's really toxic no matter what season you're in. Like to fully transparent, I've only been broken up with over the phone, either text or phone call. That's been it. There was one rare occasion where it was like kind of a breakup but not really in person, and that in of itself, the person breaking up with you, that leaves no closure, like zero closure. And there's been like guys I've been broken up with for 3 years that like still reach out because you never get that closure because you broke up over the phone. So like, and that's just not healthy, and you're in new relationships and it never closes that door completely, and it's not fair to the dumpy. So yeah, and also if you're gonna break up with somebody, be a man. I almost said something that was kind of inappropriate. Be a man or be a freaking girl and like do it to their face. Like let's cut this ish of like calling and texting. Like that is so, if you really care and love somebody, like you're gonna tell them to their face, or even if you did at one point. So like do it in person, do it to the face so y'all can get it over with. So yeah, I would say tips of being broken up with and breaking up is either way, once you've said your pieces and said bye, like don't reach back out. Because if I'm the one who was dumped, like, and I'm reaching back out to him, like then, because you know sometimes there is a chance that like it's gonna come back around. Maybe they need some time. I feel like every breakup is so circumstantial, like it just depends.
It just depends.
But also like a big tip to me is like don't reach out, because then they're gonna be like, ew. It's like this weird like chasing like attraction thing, and it's like if you keep reaching out after they were the one who broke up with you, they're gonna be like, ew, like no, like stop.
There's always a weird tension of like, it really depends on how your relationship ends. If you end on good terms and like you get to a point where you're like, actually I need closure on this one situation, and you are able to reach out to them, if reaching out to them feels uncomfortable, then I would kind of think about it, and like if you have faith, pray about it more. But if it's something where you ended on good terms and you feel like you can talk about things, like if you need closure on something, it's better to get closure than to shove it down.
I do agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And like Caroline was saying, like if you are a believer or you believe in the Lord, like if you have a faith,
that's awesome. I would say that is gonna be your biggest like tool for helping you like heal from that, because I feel like, I don't know, when I was younger I used to think like, oh, like breakups, like no big deal, but like they hurt. Like somebody that you really cared about, either you don't want to be with them anymore or they don't want to be with you anymore, and that is a hard pill to swallow, because we're human and like we want to be accepted and we want to be loved. And so like don't downplay it as like it's something that's like, oh, like whatever, bro, it's not
No
a big
big
deal.
deal. I'm
Like,
just gonna go
it is
through
a
a
big
glow up and it's
deal,
gonna be
and
great.
it matters.
Yeah.
So what would be one of your biggest tips on like how to deal with a breakup?
I think that I wish that I would have slowed down and let myself process it more. Everyone would ask me like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. No big deal. Like, you know, for our relationship specifically, you know, we had broken up before. So I was like, you know what, it has happened before, I've gone through it, which was true. But this time around, like, I knew it was final. So like that stings a little bit more. So if you need to take time, whatever that looks like, for me, I needed some time just to step back, not away from friendships in a sense of like stop hanging out with friends, but I needed time to be alone with myself, because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to be alone by myself and be alone with my thoughts. I tried to distract myself, hanging out with friends, going to work, overloading myself with school. So it's okay to like take a step back. Don't stay there for too long, because then it gets really sad.
Yeah.
But take a step back and let yourself have time to breathe. And honestly, I did a lot of prayer about what was something that I needed in my life that I couldn't get out of that relationship. And that really was just peace. I didn't have any peace while I was in that relationship, because it was just a lot of tug of war. And so I just prayed for a lot of peace and for the Lord to instill that in my heart. And that's really what helped me get over it the most.
That's so good. That's so good. And also, if you are, so obviously there's a lot of different breakups, and I'm not going to be able to relate to all of them. And like, that's also why like I wanted Caroline to come on here, because she is like, you know, a few months out of that season. And so my thing would be, once you go through a breakup, and depending on like what kind it is, like if it was a toxic relationship and you were the one who broke it off, or maybe you just got out of it and like they broke up with you and it was a toxic relationship and you're like, I need to make sure I don't go back to that, because I know it'll start up again. Because that's kind of like, I was in one and I ended up breaking it off, but it was like on and off and on and off. But like I would say, like once you realize that it is a toxic relationship, make a list. Like Caroline was saying, take some time to be by yourself, write down those reasons as to why the relationship's toxic, why you want different things, because I promise you, like writing them out, it's more like, oh, like that's what happened.
It has to be a reminder, and you have to be really honest with yourself.
Yeah, because because then like, I don't know, it's so easy for them to come back along and you're like, oh, like, hey, you know?
And you remember all the good things, and you forget all the bad things that are the reasons why you broke up. And I've had terrible dating experiences, and I've had multiple toxic relationships, and I know the easiest thing is like, if it's off and on, getting back on with each other is so easy, and then getting off is so hard. But one thing I will say, and I will like beat this horse until it's done, but if they really wanted you, they wouldn't keep leaving you. The right person, like if they want you that badly in their lives, they will continue to choose you, and you deserve way more than someone who doesn't know if they want you or not. Like, life is hard, and I do get that, but don't let life be an excuse on why you can't love somebody. Well.
And like, you will know. Like, when I started dating Alex, like, it's just so funny, because I've told like Caroline this before, like all these people this before, but like it's so funny because I feel like generally a lot of girls have a lot of standards, and then you meet somebody and all of a sudden all your standards are like whoop out the window, and you're like, where did my standards go? So what I would say is, really, it is good to write those down, but also like, come on people, like you can't date Jesus, okay? So there is a healthy middle ground. But don't let your standards like go out the window like that. Like, stand firm on that, because the Lord like wants to bless you, and he wants to bless you with somebody to do life with, because I do believe like God's plan for a lot of people in life is to be married and to like, you know, do that and have somebody to go through life with. And so don't let your standards go out the window, but also if you write them down and you really feel like Jesus is the only one who can fill that, you might have to come down a little bit.
Yeah, but like spend some more time with Jesus too, get to know his character, because that will remind you of like, if he loved people through certain things, you can as well. Like that changes a lot of your perspective.
Yep. And that's like one thing I've like told people, because I've had the toxic relationship that's back and forth, and then I've had the relationship with Alex and I, and like when I tell you, like, my standards used to be like literally what Alex is, and then like I started dating this one guy and like they went out the window, and so I feel like after that I kind of had like a come to Jesus moment again, and then that's when I started dating Alex. And I remember I came in from my first date literally with him, and my mom and dad were in the kitchen, and they were literally mad because I got home at like midnight and they like didn't know where I was, and they were freaking out. And I was like, guys, don't worry, like it was so good. And I was like, if I don't marry him, like I want to marry somebody like him. And that is like, I would never say that. Like that is not something I would say. I always thought I'd be like the crazy aunt who like didn't get married. And so I just think it's really important that if you like have standards, like know your worth, know that you are worth so much, and like you don't need a man to define you, like you don't need a relationship to define you, and no like just random relationship is gonna be better than like either you on your own or you with the Lord or you with the person that you are supposed to be with.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're coming out of that season where you're like, okay, well, I've been single for a while and I'm ready to start dating again, it's not a mistake, but one thing I repetitively have done in the past is like, I went on one date with somebody and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna just start dating this person, and they would end up breaking my heart, and I really didn't take time to think and pray about like our friendship first before like a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're getting back into dating, I just highly recommend, people will say this to you all the time, it's because it's true, like be friends first, like hang out, be friends, get to know each other, and don't force this idea of dating. And also if you struggle with kind of idealizing this idea of marriage, know that like marriage is a huge commitment, and it's the rest of your life. So if you're just dating people because you want to get married one day, that is the design of dating, but like you have to be intentional with who that is with.
And like take your time. Like dating is so fun.
Yes.
Oh, I mean it can be terrible too, but it's so fun. Like have fun with it, like chill out. I feel like so many people take everything so seriously, and I'm like, have a good time. Like it's so fun if you let it be so fun. So what would be your biggest thing that you're like, the biggest thing that nobody tells you when you go through a breakup?
Ooh,
that's like,
it depends on how long your relationship has been. My relationship was off and on for a while, and mine was long distance, so I didn't really think about like all the things that our relationship infiltrated my everyday life. But there are habits, things that I do and things that I say now that stemmed from my ex, because like you kind of become little mini versions of each other. So to this day, I do things or I say things or I think things in a certain way, you know, because we dated so long. And I don't even think about it. Like literally the way that I drink my coffee now is one of them. I said something the other day. I honestly, when we first broke up, I couldn't go to Moe's without crying, because we used to go to Moe's all the time, and I was like, I just can't go to Moe's for a while. Like you don't think about all the things that are gonna be daily reminders, which suck, but it's also a good reminder of like, okay, well, there was a point in time where like this person brought so much joy into my life, and I'm a different person now because I had them in my life. So it's not all bad. I have to remind myself like I am in certain ways better than I was because I got to meet him. But the same way, like I'm still my own person and I can keep growing and enjoy these things. Like I ate Moe's twice this week and it didn't bother me once.
And so also like I think too, kind of what she was saying of like they are a person, like I think one thing too, especially for girls, is like it's very easy to get out of a relationship and be like, screw them, like they suck, and like go tell all these people all these awful things. And where it's like, I understand that, like I get it, we've all been there, and you know sometimes you do have reason to do that, but I would also say like be careful who you say those things to. Because they're human too, and no matter how much like you hate them, and I know like you could be in a relationship where maybe you love them and you're like, I have nothing bad to say about them, or you're in a relationship where it was like everything they did was terrible and I have all these bad things to say about them. But there's definitely like a middle ground in like being respectful, because like they're human and like they have real feelings, whether you guys got along and you believe that or not. But like, just be careful, because words really do have a lot of power.
Yeah, and they will get back around. It doesn't matter if you're long distance or live in the same town. Eventually, like, the words that you say will come back to the person, and it is hard. So just keep that in mind. I know people think like, oh no, like these are my friends here. They will hear it eventually.
Yeah, and it's hard. And I think too, also, so this is like side, like another little, if you are coming out of like a relationship where like you lost a friendship, so that actually happened to me. Like a few years ago, one of like my best guy friends for like my entire life, we were like driving one day, and then he like pulled into a parking lot and like basically just like told me like how he felt about me and that he's liked me forever and all these things. And like, I think I handled it well, because I wasn't going to fake it and just like egg on that hurt of like, oh yeah, like let's just try it and then like I'll just break up with you later. Because I knew that I didn't. And I think it's really easy. It would have been so easy for me to be like, oh yeah, like let's just try it. But I didn't, and we're not friends anymore, and it really sucks because I lost like my best friend, like literally my best friend. So with that too, I would say like sometimes breakups suck, and like that wasn't even a breakup, it was like a friendship breakup, and it was really sad because like I lost one of my best friends, but like things happen, and like that's just kind of the sad thing. And I feel like that's what happens when guys and girls are like best friends. Somebody always likes the other one.
Oh yeah, when you get older too, here's one thing I've had to accept. So we're like 21, almost 22, and you get to a certain age where like being best friends with a guy, being best friends with a girl, like you have to start setting boundaries, because you're getting to the age where people are seriously dating, getting engaged, getting married. Like one of my best guy friends and I, we were just like, oh yeah, we can just go to the movies. And then we were thinking about it, and we're like, actually, we can't just go to the movies, just the two of us, because that's how feelings start. And we're like, we know that we're friends and like we can go with a group, but at this age you have to get to a point where you respect one another. Like I'm best friends with some of our guy friends that like our girlfriends are dating, and so we can't just like hang out with them one-on-one anymore, because you want to respect that relationship and respect that person. So,
and I think like my biggest relationship advice would be like, I always say like picture the other person, and if they were to do what you're doing, would you be okay with it? Because sometimes I'll like if a guy friend's like texting me or something, like that's totally fine, totally cool. But if it goes for a long time, like I literally will think in my head, I'm like, would I like it if Alex is like texting a girl as much? And the answer is literally always no. Like, would you be okay if your partner or whatever, like whatever person, like went out to the movies with like another person that wasn't you, and it's just one-on-one? Like, probably not.
And I actually used that a lot in my past relationship, because it's okay. Here's the thing about dating. If you start dating again, it is okay, not in a toxic way, we're gonna do this in a healthy way, to call out your boyfriend or girlfriend, or even just your friend. It is okay. If you love them well, that's your job. Like, you want to be able to protect and love them. Don't shove down those feelings and be like, I don't like that. It's okay to tell them. Don't come at them and be like, hey, you're being a terrible person. That's not how that works. I literally would say, would you be okay if I was doing this? And he'd be like, no. I was like, okay, well now you have to think about how that would make you feel. That's how I feel.
Number one key of a successful, like healthy relationship is just to like be open and honest and like talk. Like, don't be afraid to like speak what's on your mind. And if you're being dramatic, I'm sure they'll tell you.
No, I'm the most dramatic person on the planet, and I respect when people tell me, because I'm like, yeah, I am being dramatic. And
that was good. I feel like this was a good episode. Do you think?
Oh yeah. Okay, girls. The right man, especially if you're like a woman of faith, you have to think about this. If you have to slow down for them to catch up for you, they're not it. The right man will either be at the same pace as you, or he will catch up to you, and he will find you and chase you down wherever you're at. So like, live your life. Stop waiting to do something with someone else, because for me, I only did things that my ex did. So when we broke up, I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
you cannot date somebody else if you don't know who you are, because you can't like you cannot go and date somebody and expect them to know who you are when you do not know who you are. And it is a dangerous place when you go into a relationship and you let them define who you are instead of you tell them who you are. So, period 2. Big thank you to Carol. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Bye guys.